and welcome to this video in which I'll be giving you my thoughts on the songs for Lithuania's national final Eurovizja.LT.
A disclaimer. I hadn't addressed this before because I had hoped that the EBU would come to the correct decision by now, but since they have not, I do need to address it myself. Israel should not be allowed to participate at the Eurovision Song Contest 2024. If Russia hadn't been banned in 2022, maybe we'd be having a different conversation right now, and on a personal note, maybe Eurovision wouldn't have become such an important part of my life, but this is the reality that we are living in, so this is the conversation that we are having. Regardless of what you think of the current atrocities happening in Gaza, intentionally cutting off other people's access to food, water, and electricity is abhorrent, not to mention the act of killing. If you think governments and broadcasters should be considered as separate entities, consider the situation with Russia again. There is a video explaining why Israel shouldn't be allowed to participate linked in the description, and the creator also calls to action about what you can do yourself. Please watch that video and do something. Further resources are also listed as and when they become relevant. I'll stop talking about this when it stops being relevant.
I haven't heard much about these. I know that the Roop is back and that Sylvester is the favourite, but I've really not heard much. I've been waiting until all of the songs are released so I could listen to them in one evening so that my mood doesn't influence how much I like the songs, and they were all released yesterday, but as it was the final of Saturday more, I was very much preoccupied, and also Finland and Latvia chose their songs as well. So I'll be listening to the Lithuanian songs today with a pretty open mind. I know very little. I did enjoy the Roop's entries in Eurovision, and obviously I have heard that Sylvester is the favourite. I don't really have high expectations for Lithuania either, but they seem to be consistently getting into the final recently and doing kind of alright, so maybe there'll be a very good song in here that I do like. I'll get back to you once I've listened to all the songs and give you my top 10. We've now listened to the Lithuanian songs and I wasn't blown away. There's nothing in there that I really love, but I don't need to love all the songs, as I have said before. To me, they were mostly just filled with generic lyrics. Not boring, but generic as songs as well, and just not really for me, mostly. Not my kind of style. That's why maybe I'll sound a bit negative. I'll give you my top 10. In the 10th spot, I do have We All Rule the World by Easter, which first of all really reminded me of ABBA, with the costuming and also slightly with the sound. And then kind of song for the end credits of a movie, and the lyrics were very generic. The song itself was also kind of bland and forgettable to me. I think they did a good performance, they gave it their all, but the song just really doesn't speak to me because it feels like nothing original. Not that I could write a better original song, but I'm rating these for going to Eurovision, not for if I could do it. In my 9th spot, I've got I Love You Starting Tomorrow by Monica Maria. It's a very classical sounding country song to me, and it's another Monica, which would be pretty funny because that would be the third Monica in Lithuania, but I don't think she's going to Eurovision. It's boring to me, but the bridge and the build are nice enough, so I don't really hate it. It's just not my thing at all. In the 8th spot, I've got Time by Il Senso, which mostly just confused me. Reminded me a bit of Kaino with the styling and style of singing at parts. Very dark, and it's kind of futuristic folk maybe, or something like that. Don't really know how I'd describe it. Some funky electronic guitar at moments, but the whole song I'm just mostly confused about, and it's a bit entrancing, which is good for grabbing people's attentions and getting some votes, but it's a bit too repetitive for me as well. So overall I'm confused and it's a bit repetitive. That's not the best package. It's definitely experimental and out there and something new. In the 7th spot, I've got Be Careful by Pluie des Comètes, which is very sensual. I like the octagon. We don't get to see the shape of an octagon a whole lot anywhere. The bridge is interesting, but the whole song is also very repetitive to me and doesn't have any special lyrics. Maybe I didn't catch them, but to me, nothing so special. In the 5th spot, I've got Kaboom by VB Gang, which was a performance. Definitely some strong styling going on. The voice was a bit annoying to me. Both of their voices, really. It seemed kind of like an intersection of just techno music and Toy by Netta. Speeding up bit was interesting, and I think the comparison to Netta comes also partially from the chicken thing, not so much musically. It's definitely interesting, and that's why it's gone up a bit higher than the others, but I can't say I really loved it. Maybe with a few more listens it would have clicked for me, and if it does get chosen for Eurovision I'll definitely give it more goes, but for right now it wasn't really for me. In the 5th spot, I've got Walk Through Fire by Queens of Roses, which has the most generic lyrics, I think, in this national final. There's nice enough harmonies and nice enough choreography that the overall package is okay. I really doubt this would qualify if it was going to Eurovision, but it has a generic good beat behind it, and the performance was professional enough. I don't know how to pronounce Lithuania, so excuse my pronunciation, but in the 4th spot, I've got Gaude Veidai from Žalvarnis, which is another folk rock song. This is not the first one in this Eurovision season. It's the, I don't know, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, something like that. And if it does get chosen for Eurovision, there'll be inevitable comparisons to Goethe, which I think Goethe wins. But it's generally pretty good. To me, it's a bit boring / clashing. I still don't quite get the mesh of folky stuff and rock when it's done most of the time. I think Goethe do it well, but most of the time it doesn't quite work for me. Maybe I can be convinced, but it didn't fully work for me in this song. My 3rd spot, I do have Impossible by Shower, which is by far and away the community least favourite right now, so I don't know why I'm the only one who seemed to have enjoyed it. I didn't love it, but I enjoyed that it had a bit more of a story to it than most of the other songs. The lyrics felt a bit less generic. The story overall was generic, but it was told through some more interesting lyrics. I also found the voice interesting, and the sound overall reminded me of one of my all-time favourite bands that I don't really know so much about, the Brobecks. If it tells you anything, one of the members of the Brobecks was Dallin Weeks, who was a bassist for Panic! At the Disco for like 5 years and is now spearheading his own band called I Don't Know How But They Found Me, which I really enjoy. And the Brobecks, the one CD that I have, because that's the only one they have ever resold as far as I'm aware, I do like to listen to quite a bit. So the sound reminded me of that, and maybe that's also why I quite like the song. I don't think it would do much at Eurovision, I don't know that it would qualify, but for me, I quite enjoyed it. In the 8th spot, I do have Simple Joy by The Roop. It's recognisably The Roop, which could be a good or a bad thing. It could turn people off of voting for it because it feels like it's repetitive. I think Novo Bolia is more different to Incorporação than this is to The Roop's other entries. The bridge is the most recognisably The Roop. The rest of the song is kind of a slight departure. The message is nice, there's a good instrumental, and I like the whistling. So overall, I would be very happy with this at Eurovision, but it's not my number 1 because I do think number 1 will be better in terms of maybe coming into the top 10. And also in terms of representing national language. So fairly obviously, my number 1 is Look Take by Sylvester Bell, which is the community favourite as well, and I don't know if that would have happened if I didn't know that it's a community favourite, but I do know that it's the community favourite, and I have to agree. It's got a fun start and it's interesting. It feels like it has the most cohesive staging idea, most focused vision. It's kind of maybe hip-hop-ish or something. It's not really a genre that's represented at Eurovision a lot, and the bridge is really great. I really enjoyed the bridge, but mostly I've put the song on number 1 because I think it's what will give Lithuania the best chances at qualifying and actually maybe getting into the top 10, but in such a competitive year, I don't know if we shouldn't be expanding it to top 15 for success. And wishing noises are fun, and obviously I like national languages being represented. It seems to be about waiting. I did a quick Google and there's some interesting theories on Reddit of all places about it maybe having to do with the war in Ukraine, but really it seems to be any kind of negative experience from what I have read in the quick translation. I'm sure we'll get more of an explanation if it does get chosen, which I think is probable. But if the Roop get chosen again, I'm not opposed to that either. So 2 fairly good options for Lithuania here, but overall it felt very generic. Not necessarily boring, but generic to me in the national final. And these are the Told Out songs, so I don't know what the rest of them are like. I might give them a listen at some point or other, but since these are the only ones with a chance of getting to Eurovision, these are the only ones I listen to right now. But as I say, Sylvester Bell or The Roop, I'm alright with either of them this year for Lithuania, and since Sylvester seems to be by quite a margin the favourite, that'd be nice, especially with the national language, which I don't know the last time that Lithuania sent something in Lithuanian to Eurovision. It would be nice. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. I really do hope that you enjoyed it, that you got something out of it. I'll see you in the next one whenever that shows up on your feed. Bye! In my 9th spot, I've got Stop Eating Plastic. That's Robin's 9th commandment.